want to discuss?
To go back to the MVP race, shout out to Nikola Jokic for winning MVP. This is his third MVP in 4 years now.
Yes.
So definitely making history. There's a little bit of controversy behind the whole MVP race throughout the whole season now. We had guys that's been talked about like Luka Doncic being MVP, Shai Gilgeous getting MVP. And to this extent, just saying like how Jokic might not have deserved it. How Shaq went on air and told Jokic just like, I respect you, but I feel like that, Shai should have won it. So when we talk about MVPs now, and we have these three players right now that are currently still in the playoffs, do we look at it now as like, should we hold out on the MVP voting? Because these are three great players right now, and they're all competing within the second round.
Here's the problem.
Because I know, to finish my point up, because I know at a point, how they had the whole award show for the NBA? Yeah. Shit like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know when the fuck they stopped doing that shit, but that shit was I don't know why they did that shit. They waited towards the end of the series to where it had people talking. It's like, if you're going to wait at the end of the year to do like a award show for all that type of stuff, why not see who else translating the players? Because usually the best player in the league, they can have a great season and then fall off in the playoffs. And we've seen it many times before. Like, isn't it the MVP supposed to be the best player in the league? So I feel like we got to see like who really is the best player. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but I definitely do think that if we waited out past the regular season till we see guys like Luka, Shai, and Jokic, we're still looking at it as like some people could still count the playoffs for a race. Yeah. Because even in the first round, they don't announce the MVP winner until the second round. So we're still looking at it. So I feel like that's why it's still like something of like a conversation to where, I feel like Shai got robbed. Because Shai could drop 30 in the first round or 35 in the first round game in game one of a matchup. And it's like, this is why he should have been the MVP. He's been doing this all season. He's still doing this in the playoffs.
Just here's my problem. And even when we talked about the Hall of Fame, what's the criteria? Mm-hmm. That's the problem with this award. There's no criteria because it's not the best player on the best team with the best record. Because then it would have went to Jason Tatum. It doesn't go to the person who's leading the league in scoring because then it would have went to Luka. It's not the person who has the best record in the best conference because then it would have went to Shai. So does it go to the person who is just top 5 in all statistical categories? Because that is what Nikola Jokic did. And they finished as the second seed. That's not bad either. And 1, 2, and 3 was divided by about a game. So that who was number 1 doesn't play a factor too much this year because all divided by a game. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know what the criteria is, and that's just my only problem.
Yeah, I do feel like either way, like people say Shai, I'm not mad at that. I definitely do feel like he should have won it too. But when people say Jokic and now Jokic is not winning it, it's bad for the league. It's just like it's a discredit to like just he's damn near averaging a triple-double. His points are not as the same as Luka's or Shai, but at the same time, it's just like what the criteria states is just like, I don't know, maybe he played maybe a little bit more games than both Luka and Shai, but at the same time, it's just like, because I've seen MVPs go to 6th seed. Like, it's been to Russ won out of being the 6th seed. I've seen times where it's just like even a 3rd seed. Like, feel me? What makes the MVP MVP? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the conversation. I feel like that's what the league has to really like be more specific about, to where we understand why this player won it over this player. Nobody explains why they won it. Just give out the award.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's a clear-cut winner, then there's no explanation. Like, when we talk about the defensive player of the year, like, feel me, like, Rudy Gobert was clear cut to me because, like, feel me, you're top in the West. Like,
I don't think that was clear cut either.
I think it's clear cut
because he just was on the best defensive team.
Because he's the main reason why.
Okay, but then Victor Wembanyama had better defensive stats.
Okay, but stats don't tell the whole game. You gotta win. They said defense wins games.
He's on a better team. Period. Anthony Edwards is not on the San Antonio Spurs along with Karl Anthony Towns.
So we're gonna talk about these other players. I'm talking about team success.
But when Victor Wembanyama is on the floor, the Spurs have the best defense when he's on the floor.
So why they won 15 games this season? That has to matter.
They're still on the other, and offensively, they don't have those type of. You don't have an Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay,
that's why their record is so bad. It's not. I'm
But you can't be defensive player of the year and have the worst record in the league.
Defensive player of the year, saying the Spurs got to impact the game. And it did because
how did it impact the game if they won 15 games?
Look at the stats, bro. And then watch it. I see a lot of players go up and challenge Gobert.
Yes, and Gobert is more than capable of taking switch
on fast breaks turning around because Victor Wembanyama is in the paint.
Yes,
I'm seeing Christian Braun switch hands on Rudy Gobert and dunking on him.
But
people
your
are on
defensive
3-on-1 fast breaks
matter.
and turning around.
Yes, and he's a good defensive player. I'm not saying
he's a great defensive player.
Yes, but winning has to be accounted for.
And winning is on both ends, and a defensive player is not an offensive award.
Okay, and Rudy Gobert was statistically the best defensive player.
No, he was not.
For defensive player win shares, what do you mean? No,
the Timberwolves are the number one.
Oh my God,
the Timberwolves are the number one defensive team in the league.
And even before that did you ever consider Karl Towns a defender?
Is it the defensive team or player?
Yeah,
I get the Timberwolves have a lot of good defensive players. That's all fact.
And he was the
Ward is
anchor
the
for
best defensive player.
He was the anchor for it.
That's
You could not be a defensive
but he was not better than Wemby.
15 games, bro.
But Seb, he was not better than Wemby. His team was better than Wemby's.
Oh my gosh, bro.
That's not true.
His team is better.
Yeah, but he was not an individual better defensive.
I'm talking about defensive wins and defensive shares.
Okay, I'm talking about defensive player of the year award, not defensive win shares.
You cannot be defensive player of the year.
Come on, bro. So
if your team has 50 games,
and
that means
big, so you're talking like this. I'm disappointed.
Yes, because at the end of the day, though, you could block shots, you could still feel me. But if your defense does not translate to wins, bro, how can I say your defensive player
on the floor, Seb? They have the best defense. He can't play 48 minutes.
What best defense, bro? If they won 15 games, your defense got to win you some type of games, bro. So you telling me he's that great of a defensive player?
If Rudy Gobert is on this team, you're saying they're winning more than 15 games,
bro?
Seb, yes or no?
No, they're not. They're not winning.
So I have nothing else to say. You're right. So I know that's it.
I know because what are we talking about, bro? You saying it because he blocked shots at a higher rate. Respect to that. You act like Rudy Gobert was that far off from blocking shots,
bro. I'm looking at it player versus player. You're looking at it as how he affected his team. I thought it was defensive player of the year.
Question.
So that's like giving an MVP to somebody that don't make the playoffs.
No, so even in that state,
I don't understand that. We just talked about I don't understand the criteria. I don't get that either.
But hear me out.
I don't understand
as an MVP,
criteria.
have you ever given somebody an MVP? Like somebody's average, say Trae Young on the Hawks, he's averaging 35. The nigga don't make the playoffs. You're gonna give him the MVP over somebody that's lesser stats, who has a better win share, has a better record.
I just said to you, I don't get the criteria. You're not making a hypothetical. If Trae Young did this, we could talk real facts that if you look at all the stats, look at Wemby's compared to Rudy Gobert. Put the teams aside and tell me who was the better defensive player that year. That's all I'm saying. You keep making this team thing, and you're right. I'm not disagreeing with that, but that's why I don't get these criteria, and I don't understand what are these awards based off of. Because defensive player of the year was Wembanyama, clearly. If you're watching it and he was better than Rudy Gobert.
If he made the playoffs or playing, then I get it.
And you just said if you switch them, Rudy Gobert, they would still have 15 wins. So then how is he just a better defensive player then?
Okay, because a team success matters in defense. They say everybody's heard the quote, defense win the game.
So call it the defensive team of the year. Why are you saying player?
No.
That's player, bro.
No.
Come on, bro.
Team success matters in your defense, bro. You can't win 15 games and be defensive player. I'm sorry, bro.
And that's
no matter how much blocks you average.
That's because of who's on their team. That's clear as day. They don't have the same roster.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves was a bad defensive team before Rudy Gobert got there. Rudy Gobert was 3-time defensive player of the year.
They was a bad defense before he got there.
Yes.
Okay, but now look who since being there. They've had Ant.
They had Jaden McDaniels for years. And they had Anthony Edwards for years. They had Jaden McDaniels. They had Anthony Edwards for years before Rudy Gobert got there, and they were not having this success. They were a number 2 seed this year. The defense got better because they initiated Rudy more into the defense. They're not trying to hide him and say, oh, do not play up. Rudy's actually playing up. If you watch the games, he's taking on the switches. He's not going to be the best defender on it, but it's not like you could exploit that matchup. And that's what the Phoenix Suns try to do. They try to do this little small ball shit to where we could try to run Rudy Gobert off the floor. You couldn't run him off the floor. He's not getting run off the floor.
One series against the Phoenix Suns who completely wet the fucking bed. I'm not taking what they did against the Phoenix fucking Suns, who coaches got fucking fired. Like
undeservingly so. Undeservingly so.
Another two undeservingly so. No, he was fired. So I'm not comparing what he did. Don't bring up defensive schemes with a coach who just got fired. I don't want to fucking hear that.
Oh my gosh.
They
have more than the personnel to do it though.
So why didn't they?
Because they suck, nigga.
Oh,
like, if I'm gonna keep it a buck, they suck, nigga. You got swept, bro. And they tried to initiate that. Yeah. Everybody tell them, oh, you gotta attack Gobert. You gotta attack Gobert. Get him on the switch. Get him on the switch. It didn't work. You couldn't run him off the floor. I'm just saying, though. But you're right to your point. Wemby is the better defensive player of the year. I'm gonna count team success into that.
That's all we was arguing about. So you agree? Now, once again, I agree with you that they're gonna give it to a person on the better team. Then they have to explain this criteria and really break it down. Because Wemby had a better individual defensive year. That's just if you disagree with that point, then you're lying to yourself. No, because it's just proven.
I'm not that low.
All right, so Rudy Gobert was on just a better defensive team, but I think just have better defensive players, which accounted for all that. I don't think it was just solely Rudy Gobert.
Nah, he's the main part. He's at least 80%. 80% of the reason why the defense success.
You put Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels on this Spurs team, but they would have had more wins. And then Wemby wins.
Now we're talking
so even in the reverse aspect, you take Rudy Gobert off and you replace him with another center. You think they're still a great defensive team?
No, you can't just put any center. I'm not saying Rudy Gobert's not a good defensive player. I've not once said that. I said not over Wemby.
Yeah,
he's a great defensive player.
I'm just saying but I'm saying like you add those defensive players with Wemby.
Who then? Who are you talking about? Who?
No,
I'm not saying put any center.
I'm just saying.
Gobert,
I just think. Well, Rudy Gobert can't be replicated.
To me, if you put Anthony Davis on that team, they're the same defensive team.
Gap, he gets hurt.
Yeah.
You're talking about I'm talking about if he's on for healthy, so when he gets hurt. If you put Anthony Davis on that team, they're still great. Either he's a rim protector, he's a shot blocker. What are we talking about?
I don't think they're number one though.
Yeah, I don't think they're number one.
But yeah, even yeah, but talking about the criteria, I think the biggest thing with the MVP is the criteria again, and again, who the people that's voting. Again, you have a lot of like reporters and like people within the media that has a lot of determination on these type of things. When I feel like it shouldn't be too much people within the media, because I definitely feel like you have people that cover certain teams, watch certain teams more, so they're definitely I wouldn't say biased, but they have more of an eye on one person more than the other. Now, I definitely feel like specifically with these three MVPs, it doesn't make sense to me, specifically because when Jokic got his first MVP, Murray was out like the whole year and he had a big season. They were 6th in the conference and he got the MVP. Now, when we put that to this year, and then Luka is in the 5th seed and he's averaging 39 and 9, and Kyrie is not there for the majority of the year, we say Luka's not deserving, which kind of doesn't make sense. And then the same thing to the point with Russell Westbrook. He had like a triple-double and he was the 5th seed and he was deserving. But again, Luka Doncic in his situation, no. But again, the next year, you feel me, Nikola Jokic has a similar season to this season and wins the MVP over Joel Embiid. And then Joel Embiid wins. But the whole thing is just kind of seeming like, when are we going to get to a point where Jokic doesn't win? Because at this point, if he consistently has the same season, you can't say he's not having an MVP season because you keep rewarding his same performances year after year after year, even when other players are having better seasons and having a better record and team success. So the criteria is kind of flawed because, again, what is your determination at the MVP if no matter what situation Jokic is in, he's deserving, but the other people are not? That's kind of like the biggest point for me, and I just don't understand that as well.
But then also I do see the other side, because back in the day when LeBron was in his prime, and even the Kobe Bryants, the Shaquille O'Neals, the Michael Jordans, everyone said, "Oh, they should have won more. They should have won more MVPs." So now they're giving it to the best player in the NBA. Some people are just looking at it like that. Before everyone complained, everyone cried, "Well, LeBron should have won more. Or Michael Jordan should have won more. Shaquille O'Neal should have won more." Now they're giving it to Nikola Jokic not the best player in the NBA?
Do you think he was? I don't think he was the best player this season.
He won the championship though and put up great stats. He was top 5 in every statistical category.
Yeah, but
because now we're gonna pick hairs and say this person.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, but if we're going from the 2023-2024 season, I just don't feel Nikola Jokic was the best player this season.
I just don't think it's a huge job. But there was the number 2 seed away from number 1 by 1 game, and he was top 5 in every category.
And even in the voting, like it seemed like he kind of won convincingly. There wasn't really like a tight race, really.
So I don't understand that. I think that was a problem. problem.
Because at a point, Shea did miss some time too. So I think availability.
But he really only missed the end of the season.
I don't think it comes down. Shea didn't miss enough time to make that type of gap. I just think
NBA
Jokic
voters,
right now.
You guys are weird. Fix
I just
this.
think now, but we're gonna ask him to switch it again. Then when they switch it, we're gonna find a problem. Every year, we're gonna have this conversation because there's gonna be 5 to 8 people who you could give the award to, and then you're gonna down credit what they do to up now the other person. All of them could have won, and now it just comes down to the voters and the criteria. And I think as fans, I think we should see who the voters are. And what's the criteria, and then we need a final verdict explanation, like Jokic did X, Y, and Z over X, so that's why he is your official MVP.
And the crazy part is we could have been talking about him as a 4-time MVP because he could have. There were some people that might have had him winning last year, but Joel Embiid just had a little more separation. And I definitely think that at a point Joel Embiid took the MVP race. He's like, nah, I gotta win it.
But now look, here's what's crazy. Before Jokic got hurt, before Embiid got hurt, he was gonna win it. He was declared number one, and it was gonna be based off stats. Because they wasn't gonna be the number one seed.
That's how. Yeah.
So then to Jalen's point, why is Luka not the MVP? Because you were gonna give it to Embiid off stats because he was putting up crazy numbers, but they was not gonna be the number one seed.
Yep, it's what I'm saying. It's just I just think it was more so a lot of it's media coverage another team certain players.
Another thing with the 6th man of the year, is it now team because Malik Monk had more points than Nasri. So I don't know. So what's the vertical on that? How you judge that?
I have no
because
idea.
Malik Monk,
a little bit success,
he missed the last
success.
week and a half of the season.
I think a little bit with the 6th man of the year, it's not who's scoring the most points because again, Norman Powell had basically 1 vote and he had the same amount of points as Malik.
That's what I'm talking about the criteria. I think that 6th man is spark plug. Yeah. So you're coming from that 6th man. If you had the most points of that 6th man, I'm confused.
Yeah, but big shout out to Naz Reid though. Big shout out to Naz Reid.
He's cool.
I didn't see him win the 6th man of the year, truthfully. Yeah, and that's no offense to Naz Reid because I definitely fuck with Naz Reid game. Naz Reid is tough, but I definitely thought a guy like Malik Monk was gonna win it. Or even Norman Powell.
10?
13.
Yeah, but a guy like Norman Powell, he was coming off the bench. No, Malik Monk actually in the beginning of the season had Norman Powell, but he didn't even finish did he even finish as a finalist?
Bro, he didn't. No, he's not even top 5.
That's fucking crazy.
Ooh.
Norman Powell.
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
No, I'm not sure about that. But that's gonna do it for this episode of It's Debatable, NBA edition. We'll be back. Once these series continue to move on and give y'all updates and things of that nature. Want to thank everybody for watching. Just make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms at It's Debatable_. Just be on the lookout for no videos, shorts, reels, all that dropping is gonna be coming out. Everyone have a good night.
Peace.